Section 4 of Chapter 2 is applying the principles that you already know to formulas. So this is applying the addition principle and the multiplication principle, where you can add or subtract or multiply or divide anything you want as long as you do the same thing to both sides. That's the principle, same thing to both sides. So the name of the game is simply going to be isolate the variable. And on these, since we're dealing with formulas, we're not going to end up with a number answer. We're going to end up with a different formula. So I'll show you what I mean here in these examples. The first one is P equals R minus C. This is dealing with finance, and figuring out a profit is taking your revenue minus your cost. But what if you want to solve for R? What if you want to know, well, what was the revenue? So all you have to do is, well, if I want to know what the revenue is, then the revenue is what I need to solve for. So if I get the revenue by itself, this was subtracted. So you're going to add C to both sides. And so revenue is going to equal profit plus cost. All right. So then if you want to solve, if you've got V is volume, volume equals length times width times height. If I want to know, well, what on earth is the width? So in this one, we had to undo the addition or subtraction. On this one, you're multiplying three things, so you're going to undo that multiplication, which simply means you're going to divide. So if we want to solve for W, we want to divide by the L to get rid of that, and we want to divide by the H to get rid of that. So if I divided by L and H over here, I've got to divide by L and H on this side. So now width equals the volume divided by length times height. And so that's just another way to solve that formula, to use that formula. If you want to know, well, what's the width? I know what the volume is. I want to find the width. Then you can use this new formula. It's just manipulating the formulas. All right, on this one, B equals P times the quantity of 1 plus RT. This is also having to do with finance, finding balance using principles, and it's dealing with interest. So if I'm going to solve for P, I want to know, well, what's my principal? What did I start out with? Well, in this case, the principal is multiplied by a sum. Well, you could multiply all the way through, but P is what you want to solve for. So in this case, look ahead and make sure. Well, in this case, you don't want to multiply that through. You want to actually get rid of this whole part. So you can divide by that whole binomial, that whole sum, because now this whole thing will reduce. Because this is multiplied, I can do that. I can't do that with a part of this because this is added, but I can do that with the entire binomial because the whole thing is multiplied. So then I would have to divide on this side. So now P equals B divided by 1 plus RT. There's your new formula. Easy sneezy. All right, let's do a couple more. This is a perimeter. Perimeter equals 2 times the length times 2 times the width. I want to know, well, what's the length of whatever it is? Now in this case, we're going to do both at the same time. So we want to get the L by itself, so we've got to get the term that has the L in it by itself, which means that we added something to this. So first we're going to subtract this to get it by itself. You're looking for where you want to end up, and everything else is extra. You want to get it to the other side. So you can see, well, I added this chunk, so if I subtract this chunk, then I just have 2L. So P minus 2W equals 2L. So now to get just L by itself, well, this is 2 times L. Just divide by 2. So now you can see that the length is going to equal the perimeter minus 2 times the width divided by 2. All right, one more. A little bit more complex. T equals NT divided by R minus R. I want to solve for the N. So I want to get this N by itself. Well, this N is all entrenched in this division problem, but I've got this subtracted. So get rid of this first, and then we can work on this chunk. So add R. So I've got T plus R now. So now, ignore this, keep it the way it is, and just look at this. We want to get the N by itself. Well, what happened to this n was you multiplied it by t and divided by r, which is the same as multiplying by the fraction t over r. So if you multiply by the reciprocal of that, r over t, can you see that now those will cancel and I'll be left with the n that I wanted? So if I multiplied by r over t on that side, I've got to come over here and multiply by r over t over here. So when you combine that, what that's going to look like is this. So this is r times that quantity of t plus r. So you've got the small r times the quantity of t plus r all over t. And that's going to equal the n that you wanted it to equal. Easy sneezy, you got this. So the trick is to look for the part that you're going to solve for, and then look to see, well, what was done to that piece, and undo it little by little by little. Peel off the pieces of the onion, all right, and undo, go backwards. So subtract off any chunks that need to be subtracted, and then divide by anything that's multiplied by that variable. You can do this. See you soon.